Welcome to A4NB4Y.
Welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast, where we go chapter by chapter through the Ocarina of Time. This week, we're taking on the Water Temple, and guys, this one's a bit deep. So, yeah.
And my puns last episode were bad.
I love it.
Well, anyway, I'm your co-host, Ryan Fonzie.
I'm Carmen Sandiego. You found me.
And I'm Tony, or otherwise Anthony.
All right, good vibes. Yeah, no, that was a horrible pun. You're right.
No, keep it, though.
I didn't want to make it, but I couldn't think of anything else to say, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it.
You really reached the bottom there with puns.
Oh, no. I get a heart piece for that.
We've got our iron boots, and we have our unlimited breath tunic on, and we are ready to tackle the Water Temple.
Yeah.
We play the song, we jump to Lake Hylia, hop in the water, throw the boots on, sink to the bottom, shoot an eye with a hook shot, I think, and we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the only place where you can, like, shoot an eye with a hook shot.
You can't use the bow underwater.
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's cool. I mean, I think I mentioned that we were probably going to revisit Sheik's statement in the ice cavern, just because it kind of frames this whole chapter of the game. Of course, when we went here, we were looking for just some blue flames at first, but you know, we managed to get some stuff on the way, including a song that'll take us right to the temple. So if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to go through the poem again that Sheik shared with us. And a little bit of the details that she shared as well.
Yeah.
Because before she gets to that, it's actually one of the times where she actually does greet Link before reading off a poem. Because basically, Sheik shares that, you know, if you came to meet the Zoras, because, you know, the ice cavern's right off of Zora's domain, you're not going to find him here. They're all frozen under the ice, except he was able to rescue the princess. We can start calling Sheik a he now, because I think Princess Ruto shows up this chapter and actually calls him a he. And I think that's the first gender reveal that we get in regards to Sheik. But anyway, kind of going back, Sheik basically said that Ruto went to head towards the Water Temple. The ice is created by a curse, and the monster in the Water Temple is the source of the curse. And so in order to ever have a chance of melting the ice, which you can't actually do in this game, you have to go defeat the monster in the temple. So then he reads his temple poem, right? Okay, so yeah. So he says, "Time passes, people move, like a river's flow, it never ends. A childish mind will turn to noble ambition. Young love will become deep affection. The clear water surface reflects growth. Now listen to the serenade of water to reflect upon yourself." And then you learn the song that will take you to the Water Temple. I know that when we talked about the Minuet of Forest, we talked about what a minuet was and how it was like a dance for two, right? We talked about the bolero, which is also a dance for two, but it's a little bit different. Like it's not, like it's very cultural. Like if you ever look it up, it's a strange watch, I will say, because like there are examples of it being danced, but it's such a like niche dance that most people don't really know it. Yeah, no, it's weird, but it's like it's something that starts slow and gets faster and faster and like
Sort of makes sense.
more passionate as it goes, which is like kind of the theme of that dungeon. We never covered that. But this one, the Serenade of Water, I thought that a serenade was actually like a type of song before I looked it up. And I guess it is, but it's more about like the presentation of the song. A serenade, like when you serenade somebody, like traditionally it is that like band outside the window, like singing up to the window of somebody you're trying to court. Like that is like the classical meaning of serenading. Yeah. Since then, I think it's kind of become a broader term of just like singing to somebody, like in a special way that's just for them, you know? But yeah, like the actual, like if you look it up under the definitions, you'll find a lot of that, like basically singing up to the window to somebody. which is funny because, you know, this immediately calls back to Link and Ruto as kids when Ruto was like doing the whole proposal thing and like how this is like some kind of weird romance, even though Link has no idea what's going on and doesn't really respond to it.
Poor Link.
So yeah, but it's kind of just like even Sheik's on board now.
Sheik knows.
Right? I don't know. I just thought that was a funny detail, but I think part of what this temple is about. I mean, it's really the relationship between Link and Ruto. Like, this is our first non-friendship relationship that a sage has with Link, because Ruto doesn't want to be Link's friend.
No.
Ruto wants to be more than that. And so yeah, like that. There's going to be some of that in here, but not really until we see Ruto. When I say that, I mean like not really any time except for when we're seeing Ruto, because we actually see her pretty early on.
It always shocked me that I don't even know if I'm shocked anymore at this point, honestly, because Nintendo seems to roll in like, I don't even know if it's a meme at this point that every time any iteration of Link comes near Azora, they're like instant, like it happened in Breath of the Wild, it's happening in Ocarina of Time, like every time. I don't know if it's just their thing or if they like fish people or like what's going on there.
It's that siren's call, man.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, there's something going on there.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about either. I mean,
like it's a meme at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get into it, I mean, like there's been some praise for Breath of the Wild for like some of the like interracial relationships that go on in that game, and there's only a few of them, but it's still like a big deal. And I know like this is kind of the first example of that from, I don't know, 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah, right.
Like this isn't even like interracial though. I mean, this is interspecies.
Right, I know, but the but the Hyrule lore has always called them races. They've never called them species.
That's true.
So like you have to imagine like a Hylian is actually more of like an elf than a person. So I don't know, like in relation to elf, like I don't know where you put Azora. Because they're kind of like water elves when you think about it, but
yeah, they have the ears.
Yeah, I mean, they do look like fish. So there's that. Yeah, fish people, man.
They're husband and wife. I mean, at some point.
You talking? Well, I don't know if they ever make it to husband and wife in this game.
Yeah, I mean, not in what you see, I don't think.
That was the after credits. Actually, the DLC.
The DLC.
Unreleased DLC director's cut.
Yes. It's coming out 3 months.
Home life with Link.
Home life.
He just has his Zora tunic on all the time.
Oh god, he's got the golden scale.
Link and Ruto, homeowners.
Speaking of golden scale, do we want to cover that at all real quick or before we get into the temple or no? Because it is in the same area. The fishing
golden
hut.
Scale, you just go fishing for it. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the big deal is that poor dude is like, you're my only customer. And I'm like, dude, if I'm your only customer, how have you been open for 7 years?
Yeah, right.
I mean, he must just have the pond.
He hit the jackpot right before he opened that place. He's just been riding it out.
Yeah, he got the lottery in Castletown and just, you know.
It'll get better once Ganondorf leaves, so it'll be like before when nobody cared. I mean, but they'll care this time, you know.
I mean.
Oh, man. My poor dude.
Yeah.
You catch a whopping 15-pound fish though. I mean, I love when like he catches it and it's like it's whopping and it's like, but in real life, like 15 pounds is like I eat.
What? I mean, if you're fishing for lake bass, I mean, 15 pounds.
What if it was a minnow?
Well,
15-pound minnow.
The biggest minnow ever.
I mean, it's a 15-pound loach. Loaches, I don't think get that big. So yeah, that is pretty impressive. But
yeah, he calls it a lunker. I agree.
But you get a heart piece from it, I think, and you get a golden scale as well. Oh no, you get the heart piece from the Lakeside Laboratory by utilizing the golden scale to dive in front of the doctor, and he's all, "Oh my god, you could dive so deep."
Deep.
Yeah, I think next time I play through this game, I'm gonna name my character Lunker. Seems legit.
Lunker.
It sounds like a name out of like the movie Cars.
Lunk.
Oh man, that poor car be pitter-pattering down the street.
This here over here is Lunker. We don't talk about him much.
He's got the TB.
I just realized I haven't had the buttons on my work shirt done up at all today. I've been showing off my chest hair all day.
What are you doing? How is this relevant?
It's not. That's why it's great, too, though.
All right. Maybe we should get back on subject. Water temple. We get in there, right? We get in that water temple.
Yeah, we got our boots. We got our blue. We got our good to go. We in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it starts out with the water at the highest level.
Yep.
And you immediately jump down. And if you want to get anywhere, you go all the way to the bottom, where we immediately run into our fiancée. I don't remember which one's which, but
Yes, she's like, oh my God, Link, is that you? Is that you, Link, my fiance?
Wait, let me interject before we get into that. There is another area that you can access before you go there, and you can pull a block that will, like, pretty much way later on help you out if you get the block into the right position.
yeah, do that. Do that if you can.
Yeah.
Do that.
But then you go straight to the bottom.
Then you go straight to the bottom. And yeah, so she's excited to see, and she's like, she's excited to see, but she's also like, how could you keep me waiting? Like, that's no way to treat a lady. So basically right back to her old self that we remember from being a kid. But I mean, at the same time, like, you did fall off the map for 7 years. So, I mean, there's some justification to that. You know, she says that there's places where you can raise and lower the water level, and she tells you to follow her because, you know, we gotta get rid of the evil that's in this temple. So then she floats upward and immediately disappears because she doesn't actually lead you anywhere. I mean, she goes up. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I ever played this temple, like the very first time, I didn't read what she said. I didn't realize that I was supposed to follow her. Because she floated up and disappeared. And then I might have even like walked over and like looked around and then never actually went up to where she was. So I was just like stuck in the water temple. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, 'cause I didn't realize there was this big old tunnel leading upward.
Important exposition has been missed.
Right.
Take your boots off.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this one, I think Anthony actually walked me through when I was like, you know, going through it back in the early aughts.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago.
Yeah. Since then, I've learned much more about the temple and how to actually take it on my own. And it's been, it's a journey. Like, the block is one thing that I still hadn't like gotten locked down. But I guess to just save us some time, like, talk and walk through, because we can't talk walkthroughs.
Nope.
But
we can hit the major points.
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck in this temple. And not like stuck, like eventually they make it through, but it's like, it's the other water level that we would mention before. Like, it's one of the ones that everybody dislikes. Or if they're going to dislike a temple, it'll be this one. People who know it well, it can turn into their favorite. I feel like I'm heading in that direction now.
Yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah, but before it was always like every time I get close to it, I start dreading, oh man, water temple's up next. Like, this is going to be rough. The two things that I would keep in mind aside from that first block movement.
Yeah.
One is that the second you get the water to the middle level, you want to go back the way Rudo showed you again, because there's a bomb wall that you'll come up to. And that is the first key that tends to get missed. You'll end up like cycling the whole temple looking for it again. Because,
it was probably just about to talk about that.
Yeah, I was literally going to ask, I was going to be like, so for convenience sake, like, I'm sure we each have something in the temple that like has at least tripped us up or bothered us. I know Cameron's got one. That was going to be mine because I did not remember where that small key was. Like, I was looking for it and I'm like, I know there's another small key that I need. And I just kept forgetting to drop down there. I was like, gosh darn it.
Yeah, there's one more that I personally tend to run into. So once you get the long shot, which I think is, you know, you get everything up to the third level. I remember that there's like a spot on the bottom level to use it, and I'll go right for that. But if you do that, you'll go like down all kinds of pathways only to find a locked door. And I think it's actually the locked door that leads to the boss key.
You don't say.
So the first thing you actually want to do with the long shot is you want to go through that weird trap where it's like you use the bow to open a gate and then you long shot through the gate before it closes. And that'll get you the key you need to actually make the bottom level useful.
Yeah, that's the exact thing that I was going to talk about, because that's exactly what tripped me up, was that I went through all of those winding caverns or like pathways after killing all of those 8 water dudes, and then all the way up to a locked door that I go, I can't believe that I went the wrong way, because I didn't remember which way was right. I just 50-50'd it out of the 2 chests that were remaining. One was probably a key to get to the boss key, and I made the wrong choice and had to redo that whole thing again after finding the actual key, which is the exact place that you mentioned where you shoot an eye with the bow and then hookshot to the other side of the gate.
Right. So now that those are out of the way, the rest of the temple's a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And not like that it's like the easiest thing. There's a lot of like, water physics, taking on, putting off boots and stuff like that, which can, it's not the most fun to deal with all that, but it's also not super difficult. I feel like this temple people don't dislike it because of its difficulty. They don't like it because of its confusing,
nature
aspects.
Yeah,
it's confusing.
Also, there's not much to look at in this temple, to be completely honest. Like I need a backdrop, man, and this temple is just what even is this temple? Like, why is it there?
It's one central hub room.
It makes
and then
no
a bunch of connected rooms.
Architectural logical sense as compared to the other temples that actually have like a story. This temple is just there's walls and water stuff.
I'd say one key to remember, though, is when you see Rudo, remember what pathway that you went through to find the way to turn the water to the top? To the bottom? Remember that from there you have to go into the middle in order to change it to the middle, and that wherever the block is floating on the room outside of the top is where you want to go to get the water level back down or back up all the way to the top. Because you can beat this dungeon easily and in a relatively short amount of time, even if you're getting the answers wrong for where you need to go and you keep ending up at locked doors instead of getting the key to unlock them first, you can still go back and retrace your steps and find the things that you missed really easily, as long as you can remember exactly where to go to change the water levels. Because when I was a kid, for some reason, I just could not keep it in my mind exactly how to get to the place to change the water level. So I kept having to research for the room to change the water level over and over again. It took forever.
Yeah.
So marking those down mentally specifically and how to get to those rooms is important for saving time and a headache.
Yeah, especially if you're playing Virtual Console or one of the old OG systems, like that'll be a huge help. I mean, I know that in the 3DS version, they actually like color coded some stuff.
Yeah, there's glowing lights on the wall and like the walls and stuff that let you know.
Yeah, there was. It was nice.
And it's like really. Yeah. Also, Cameron, iron boots for you is an item, correct?
Yeah.
See, that I wish happened in the Virtual Console, because me and Fonz have to actually equip it. We have to equip it in the menu.
Oh no.
Every time we want to use them. You just are like, "Fee."
It's a clothing item.
Oh, you poor souls.
Yeah. I mean, they did that in the Wind Waker HD as well. I think they even put it on like the D-pad just at all times, so at any point you can just switch to iron boots, but you don't actually sink underwater with the iron boots in that one, so it's like, why did you do this?
Yeah, it stops you from blowing away in wind, right?
It does, yeah. But again, like I don't think it needs to be that accessible. I don't know. That would have been nice in Ocarina.
It would have been.
For this temple specifically and almost nowhere else.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. So like we get into this temple, we go down, we talk to Rudo, we learn about all the water rising and lowering and all that.
Who grew up a little bit, by the way.
Yeah, Rudo's an adult.
That's a mature Zora woman.
I mean, like mentally, she grew up, I feel, as opposed to the brat that she.
Yeah, she's not so pretentious anymore.
Yeah, I mean, she still gives you trouble for disappearing and like,
it's been 7 years though.
Calls you out as a poor spouse to be. Yeah, it's been 7 years. So I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot more. I mean, the changing depths, I think, means something. Like the depth of water, the depth of like. I mean, this is our second blue temple, so it's it's supposed to be our next level of wisdom here. Again, there's some spousal stuff, but I think like kind of going back into Sheik's poem, I think one of the biggest things that was like mentioned, There's a childish mind turned to noble ambition, sure, but then the clear water's surface reflects growth, and now listen to the serenade of water to reflect upon yourself. So, like, I think that the theme of this temple is actually about self-reflection.
Or emotional.
It's about, yeah, what?
No, I was going to say more emotional. Like, you look at the reflection of yourself in water, you can see yourself. This whole temple is about water.
Yeah. So, like, if you were to sit down and, like, meditate about, like, what's going on in your life, like, do some self-reflection. Okay, like, what's something that I need to work on? What's something that I think is going really well? Whatever. It's going to take a minute to get to that depth, like things should like probably start off kind of shallow and go deeper and deeper. And then, you switch topics, you start thinking about something else, you go back to shallow, go deeper and deeper. Like it would kind of look like a cycle of water rising and falling, right? Like, so like poetically, I think that's part of what this whole temple is about with the rising and lowering of the water. I know that outside the water of the lake has been drained. There's some like world implications to that, but like at the same time, like, Zora's domain is frozen, so there's not water making it anymore. Water is our symbol of wisdom. So like, if the Zoras are frozen, like there's probably not much wisdom to go around either, like, I don't know. That's just, there's a lot of, imagery that kind of just goes into it. And like, it's really cheap just to say, oh yeah, water, wisdom. There you go. But I think that this temple does a couple other tricks that are actually a lot cooler with regards to that. One of them being your relationship with Rudo, and the other one being the actual boss fights that we come across in this temple. Because we could go into it all day about like, what does each room mean, and like you could probably find something to say, but I think that that's going to be a waste of breath. So I guess
we just go right into the most iconic fight, one of the most iconic fights in this game then.
The mini boss.
The mini boss. So this fight has become a trope. Like all kinds of movies and shows have like either made fun of this kind of thing or like copied it for their own purposes. If you watch any like Marvel movie where like a hero is introduced, like it's their namesake movie, normally the first villain they fight is basically just an imitator of them. just like the evil version, you see that in Iron Man, like there's like the, his corporate partner who gets like the janky Iron Man suit and just tries to fight him that way.
What about the Nega-Chin?
The Nega-Chin from
Fairly Odd
also a very well-known reference that everyone knows and can call back to easily.
You see it quite a few times in Star Wars. They always do the self-reflection thing. They did it in Episode 5. They do it in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. And and then there's like more obvious like spoof versions, like, there was what was that one? Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where like literally at the end of the movie they just make a joke about him fighting Dark Scott Pilgrim, and like turns out they have a lot in common and they go out for coffee or something. Like it's just, it's just funny. But like I think that a lot of times when it's used in another story, it's kind of like a cheap way of saying like, oh, like this is what this person could have been if they weren't, altruistic, or if they didn't make good decisions or whatever. Like if they were the evil version of themselves, like, this is what they're overcoming, is that tendency or whatever. Or like, it's just a way to showcase like, okay, like it's not just about the suit or the power or the whatever. Like it's, he has true strength or, what have you. But it's never really about self-reflection, I feel like. And I think that that's what this fight is supposed to be about. Like, cause literally like you have the fight on a reflective surface. Like the whole place is like fogged up and you can see everything reflecting up off the ground. You're fighting the dark version of yourself.
Who's hiding behind the shadow of the tree, the only tree in the room and temple.
Right. And under trees is a pretty nice place to reflect if you're going to do some self-reflecting. Hey. Finding a lone tree is a pretty good one. And the thing is, I didn't know this, guys, but it's actually a really cool detail. Like it's kind of like game trivia. Dark Link has the same amount of health as your character. Mm-hmm. So if you come in and you're doing a 3-heart run, like I've dabbled in a little bit lately, he only has 3 hearts, so you only have to hit him 3 times with a Master Sword, or twice with a big Goron sword, and he's done.
Or just blast him with Din's Fire and be done with it.
Yeah, blast him with Din's Fire.
The cheap way.
Right. So if you don't do that, one of the things you might notice is that as you fight him, he becomes more solid and his colors become even darker, up until you beat him.
And he's also got way cooler moves than regular Link too.
He does have cooler moves. He can like jump up on your sword and like
so epic.
Do all kinds of crazy anime stuff, which is pretty cool.
So cooler than Link.
Can he do that when you have the big Goron sword though? Because he didn't do that to me at all.
I don't know. He blocked a couple of my big Goron sword swings though. Like he actually did the mirroring and it worked for a little while. It actually wasn't a super easy fight with the big Goron sword. Like I had heard that it helps, but I don't know that it does all that much.
Actually, he never hit me once, so I thought it was really easy. I just spam attacked him until eventually I landed one pretty much.
Yeah, that's kind of how that goes. That's why I think I did the same exact thing. It's just a really cool fight. I mean, the mirroring is a big deal. Like he does know all of your moves because you know all of your moves, you know? Like I really like when I think about this, I'm like, what is Link reflecting on, right? Like, because by the end of it, he sees himself more clearly. He has a better understanding of himself. But like, let's say like he is fighting the evil version of Link, right? Like, what does that mean? Like it in terms of self-reflecting, I think that's like saying to yourself, okay, like, what have I done that I'm not proud of or I regret or what have you? Or like, what are some things that I need to work on in terms of like being more selfless or more generous or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I was sort of, in a way you could think about it like this is just another test with the Master Sword to see if he's truly worthy of wielding it. You know, if he won't succumb to the darkness. It's almost like a sort of like a Star Wars Jedi thing. Like, are you worthy enough to wield this weapon to destroy evil, basically, is how I see it.
Like, do you think that the whole thing is just a test? Like, do you...
I mean, not like a test, but it's more of like an emotional test. Like like you said, self-reflection. Basically it's the sword's like testing him to see, are you the person who has this courage? Are you the person who has this power? Are you the person who has this wisdom? Can you overcome even yourself and your dark tendencies to actually overcome Ganondorf? Is how I see it.
So does that mean that the Master Sword's really miffed that you get the big Goron sword and make it easy? Now I gotta make another test.
You cheated.
Dang it. I'm a legendary sword, bro, not a professor. Come on.
I mean, we find something out about the Master Sword in a game that we're going to play later, and I'm not going to talk about it right now or get into it. But the Master Sword is an entity. It's not just a weapon. So in a way, I feel like the Master Sword itself could be like a part of the self-reflection thing that it's doing. Or maybe it, you know.
I get what you're saying.
It's like one of those things from Bleach. It's a Zanpakuto.
It's a Zanpakuto.
It needs to come out and talk to him and give him his special ability.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Nah, Link Bankai confirm, man.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe. I haven't watched the show. I wouldn't know. But yeah, like for me, when I was going through this, I was trying to think of like, okay, like not when I was actually playing it, because that would be ridiculous, but like, you know, afterwards, like taking a long hard look at like what this fight is, like I just tried to think, okay, like what kind of things would Link be self-reflecting on? What kind of things would manifest as a Dark Link for him to fight, right? And you know, part of me like looked at the relationship with Ruto and been like, you know what, like a couple things are kind of either messed up about that. I mean, if she was actually like kind of going for this, you know, if she was taking this engagement seriously, right? To have someone leave for 7 years without actually saying anything is messed up. Like, even if Link had like understood engagement and said, hey, you know what? Nah, like that's not really what we're trying to do. Not really about it. I mean, maybe he was, and you know, whatever, but like it straight up said in the narration of the game that you didn't know what it was about, like what she was talking about. But he didn't say that either. Like, he didn't go back to Ruto and be like, listen, I do need this stone, but also I have no idea what you're talking about with the engagement. And yeah, so maybe we shouldn't do that.
That's because he doesn't say nothing.
He just took it and run. But he does, though. We talked about that. Link can talk.
Link's mute confirmed.
Guys, you're killing me right now. So that could be one thing. I mean, I don't know if that's strong enough. I mean, it is with the relationship of this temple. So I feel like that's got to be at least a part of it. But I don't think that's it. Like, I'm sure that there's probably some kind of, like just how we talked about with the forest temple and there being like this weird feeling of doubt after what just happened with the Temple of Time and Ganondorf getting in and all that. Like, maybe he's reflecting on that. Like, oh, I was foolish then. Like, I didn't really see what was actually happening. I got tricked. I need to be sharper, like to actually like deal with Ganondorf, because he's full of tricks. Like, he's gonna come with more, and I need to, it's like how can I be that
would be a good reason as to
a wiser person
why Dark Link does stuff like you can't do too, like how he jumps onto your sword as if he was anticipating you, kind of like how Ganondorf anticipated Link's moves all the way up until this point and probably even past this point. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ahead of him.
So. But yeah, even like, regardless of what like ideas I could come up with or, what we could come up with in the time we have, it's like, I think that that's still the purpose of this fight. Like, I think that it is a self-reflection fight. Like, I think obviously, like, you don't really fight a dark version of yourself when you're just trying to think about your own life. But like, it's a poetic thing. Like, a lot of the visual storytelling of this game comes across like this in these weird poetic ways because they couldn't really just put it all in writing, and it probably would have been a lot less fun if they had. So I don't know. Like, that's what I get out of this fight. I think it's one of the coolest fights in the game. Like, it is iconic. It is like one of the most amazing things. I think it's been kind of taken and used differently in other shows, movies, stuff like that, in a way that like I almost feel like, okay, like maybe like it wasn't really fully understood. I don't want to sound arrogant and be like, oh, I'm the only one who gets this fight, and I don't think that's true, but like I think that it's made fun of a lot just because it's like, oh, you fight the dark version of yourself, could you fight yourself? And it's like, it's not really the point, I don't think. Like, I think that it's more just like really looking at yourself truthfully, like looking at yourself like honestly, deeply, to try to gain some kind of wisdom based on what you see,
There should have been a boss name introduction for Shadow Link, from been like, Master of your inner demons, Shadow Link appears.
Yeah, he needs like a 3-syllable name like most of the other bosses.
Exactly.
Master of evil.
Master of inner demons.
I think that some things definitely took it as like the self-reflection thing. Naruto had an episode when Killer Bee was training him to harness the Nine Tails. If you guys remember it, where he was behind a waterfall meditating and he actually went into his own mind and had to fight his inner demon self basically and overcome it. And I think they did the best way of sort of bringing the iconic Shadow Link fight into another view, because I'm pretty sure it was like the same vibe. There was fog, there was a ground level of water. It was like almost iconic, except instead of Link and Shadow Link, it was literally just Naruto and Naruto. But it was like the sort of same.
Seen that episode.
Oh really?
But that sounds like
I have
like beat for beat.
It's basically it's just the difference is there'd be no tree in the middle, and instead of it being a misty room, it would just be a black room, like complete darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean that kind of just, I think that kind of solidifies the point. I don't know if that's a cultural thing with the waterfall, and because even that's connected, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that's what we're doing. That's the water temple, man. And I think that also brings into some justification as to why the water temple is confusing. Like, I think that was purposeful. I think that you have to think
drain
about
on your emotions.
Like, you have to be confused. You have to think about things and be like, oh man, like I messed up. I should have done this first, or Like, what am I supposed to do now? I can't see anything. I don't know where to go. Like, these are all the kind of questions that you might run into when you're actually self-reflecting. So the fact that the water temple presents that to you, kind of in the form of, a really frustrating temple, I think that makes sense. Like, it kind of fits right in with the theme.
These Nintendo creators are too good. They're too smart for us.
Yeah, I don't know who was in on it. I will say, like, I played Wind Waker recently, and that was like, aside from Majora's Mask, which is phenomenal, it's like probably the next one, in line.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's a bad game, but it doesn't have a whole lot like this. Like, this level of storytelling, like I don't find in every Zelda game. Because
the farther in time these games go, I feel like the less in touch with like the emotion and spirit. Like, they didn't have a lot to base storytelling on back then because it was an N64. So they had to really put ideas in there. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, you can literally tell everything you need to on screen, and it's not as impactful as a game like this would be.
Yeah, I mean, and a thing with like a game like Breath of the Wild is like they kind of can just live off of callbacks. Like, a lot of what they do is just like you run into an NPC and you're like, oh, this is a reference to a different Zelda game. Isn't that cool? And like, that's all they need to do is just kind of reference an old game. And the whole fan base is like, yeah, awesome. And I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
it is awesome, man. Come on.
But
I loved it. I ate it up.
But at the same time, like, I feel like without that, like, without having those callbacks to make, like, this game really had to stand on its own 2 feet. And I mean, aside from the fact they did all kinds of crazy stuff that pushed forward gaming, like, it stood on its own 2. Like, even just from the storytelling perspective, it did a great job. So, yeah.
All right, well, let me see. We got let me finish up here with the enemies that were new in this we'll add to the Monsterpedia, or Monster Encyclopedia, if you will.
Water Tektite.
Oh man.
What?
Water Tektite.
Oh, I mean, just Tektite.
Cameron's got his favorite creature of the week.
Water Tektites.
Creature of the month, Water Tektite.
Water meteor spider.
Look at him jump and then sink a little and then jump again.
Yeah, before it was the lava slug, right? Now it's the water.
Yes.
I demand a creature of the week every episode now. All right, listen. Everything in this temple, I'm just gonna say it right now. The hookshot is king. Okay.
Yeah,
the
hookshot does everything.
Is king for this temple. You got spikes, which are like sentient spikes. I don't know why they exist. They don't give a clear reason why they exist. They've never been in any other Zelda game after this or before this. They're just here in this temple. Why?
And when they're not spikes, they're rocks. They're rocks that turn into spikes.
They're like sentient Goron rock spike water things. I don't know. Hookshot, that's all you need to know.
It's a Goron's natural enemy because he eats it, and then before you know it...
Oh no. Why'd you do that?
No.
Why'd you make that image? That's a brain picture that I have to have.
Because I'm evil.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
And also out of breath. Wait, no, hold on. I'll make it better. They only live in water. Gorons can't even touch water, so they would never interact.
All right, there you go.
All right, cool.
All right. Now let's talk about...
Why can't Gorons touch water?
Yeah, why can't they touch water?
I'm pretty sure in Majora's Mask, when you have Goron Mask on, if you ever get submerged in more than like basically where you would go to swim, you just immediately get knocked out.
They can.
So I took from that they can't like go in any water that like matters.
Yeah, they're not gonna run into spikes.
No.
That's for sure.
Yeah, no.
Next we have Shell Blades, which if you didn't know, because the name doesn't do anything for what they look like, is a clam. So Shell Blades. Hookshot, again, king. Or if you want to be super cool, despite them being in water, you could actually use Din's Fire and one-shot them and turn them into fried scallop.
Wait, you can use Din's Fire underwater?
I don't know why, but you can kill them with Din's Fire and they die.
But wait, you can use Din's Fire
underwater, though.
Yeah.
Boop. Future Ryan Fonzie here, just popping in to say that we tested this. Turns out you cannot use Din's Fire underwater. Well, we came to the conclusion that Anthony ran into some kind of glitch in the game or something where he was at some point able to do it maybe once, but even that we're not entirely sure about. So it ends up taking us on a wild ride. So just buckle in and enjoy the rest of the show. Bye. Boop. Wait, you can use Din's fire underwater?
I don't know why, but you can kill them with Din's fire and they die.
But wait, you can use Din's fire
underwater though.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, Nicholas. Wait, does that mean that you can open the door? That means you have to light the torches? Can you light the torches simultaneously by being directly in the middle of both the torches with Din's fire just before the water puts the fire out and then open doors and stuff like that?
Maybe.
I think this is untested. This is ridiculous, though. I don't agree with any of this.
Because the room that you meet Rudo in originally has two things you have to light on fire. But can you do that while you're underwater if you can use Din's fire underwater?
I would assume. Do you know the room where the trap door opens and like 4 clams and a bunch of spikes come out?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I got a funny story about that room. When those guys came out, none of them moved. Literally, none of them ever moved. I just sat there with my hook shot, targeting different ones, and I killed all of them. The clams were all looking at me with their tongues out. They all just let me just obliterate them. It's never happened in any run-through. They normally just come out and they're just like, get them, boys! But for me, they're just like, wait, nap time. Guys, nap time. Yeah, okay, yep.
Oh, nice.
I even got close to them and they didn't care. I don't know why. I don't know what was up.
They're all sitting up on the grate.
They were lethargic.
Wait, he's gonna hit the switch. just wait. Don't we gotta eat something eventually? No, he's coming.
Wait, we've been up here a week. I can barely move. Oh, he's hitting it. All right, guys, get him. Wait, how?
Oh, no.
That's my story.
Well, yeah, that's the room that I used it in.
That's the room you Din's fired?
I turned them into fried scallops.
Ooh,
I guess.
Good. Makes no sense,
doing that seafood boil, man.
Mm-hmm.
Getting some clam chowder.
That's where they got the, you know how Link cooks in Breath of the Wild? That's where they got it from. He did Din's fire and made some fried seafood.
Underwater.
We have an eyeball frog legs tonight.
You see that hole in that temple over there, boy? We go noodling.
We're going shell blade noodling.
Getting them eyeballs. That's where they get them frogs from, I tell you what.
Oh, man.
All right, well, that's all the new enemies. The temple's got just those 2 new enemies.
That's not anything. I mean, this is where this is the temple where the stingers actually become a problem.
Yeah.
And they never were. I mean, obviously, like in Jabu Jabu, they actually aren't a problem. Like I just had PTSD when I saw them last time I played.
I had to go through the room that has them in it twice because I messed up and didn't have a key. Or do you have to do it twice? I don't know. But the second time when the water was all the way up, they were on me, bro.
Yeah.
It was a flyby. It was terrible.
Yeah, that's why I said they were the worst when we were talking about them in Jabu Jabu, because I always do that. I always mess that up and have to go through twice. And when you come back and that water's up, they will just it's like Miltank's rollout, man. They all come out and they just hit you one after the other, and it is disgusting.
Yeah, it really is.
Like on a 3-heart run, they stole a ferry. They did. They all came out the water and
I can see that. I can see that easy actually.
Is mean,
and they interrupt you too if you're trying to pull an arrow back, or you're trying to ready your hook shot and you get hit, it resets it, so you gotta spam the crap out of the button until Link's finally
you know what you could do?
This is what I did.
You want to know what
you could probably Din's fire him, right?
Yeah, you can. Din's fire, right? Tonight, boys.
Fried flying fish.
That's my answer to everything in this.
Tastes like underwater chicken.
We having stinger stew.
Wait, guys, I have an imagery right here, right? So before, when we were talking about last episode, remember how there was red ice that you actually needed blue fire to put out, right? Okay, so in this temple, this run, you actually need red fire to destroy everything in the blue water. It's just reversed.
Yes. But teach me more.
It shouldn't work though.
That's how it works though.
I don't understand.
That's how it works.
Link is the biggest omnidirectional pistol shrimp that's ever existed.
Yep.
Pistol shrimps, for those who don't know, create a small pocket of air underwater, which then, while the water rushes into that, temporarily reaches temperatures of, like, ridiculous amounts. Like thousands and thousands of degrees. Just enough to kill whatever they're trying to eat, and then they eat it. So they're called pistol shrimp, and they can actually explode the glass on aquariums. It's so powerful.
They're pretty brutal. We're also off the rails. We're reaching really deep into the ocean right now.
Hey, I mean, we're covering one temple. It's a cool thing. I'm going to talk about it.
Isn't that the same creature? Isn't that the one that has like? Doesn't it do that by punching the water or something?
It stores air in its like thing and it releases it in its claw. It's
like
also the same
vacuum.
It's the same like creature that the Pokemon Clawitzer was based on, where it's got the huge claw that's based on a pistol shrimp because the claw it uses to do that is bigger than the other one.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of the wrong one. I think I'm thinking of
Fun facts.
Oh gosh, it's a different shrimp. It's a punching shrimp. Let me look it up because there's two versions. One has a spear and one has like basically a little boxing glove.
Oh, it is cute.
And like
I want one.
They're both ridiculously powerful with what they do.
I want one in my.
It might be the mana shrimp. I don't know. The mana shrimp is could break your bones.
The man of shrimp.
Yeah, it is the mantis shrimp.
Yeah, the mana shrimp could break your bones if you were next to water with it.
That's brutal.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. Man, there's some scary shrimp out there. Good thing there were no shrimp in this temple. Man, I would have been running.
Good thing shrimps are called shrimps and not bigs. Oh, that'd be bad.
I don't know. It seems misleading. I think these shrimps could take it.
They're going to go through the same thing that the terraformars did, where the cockroaches got to be like humans and giant and muscular. It's going to be like huge underwater shrimp, ripped. Just ready to come up here and just punch people.
Cam, you're going to give the audience nightmares.
Yeah, first the Goron thing and then this. Oh, goodness.
It happens.
Water temple's not that bad. It's just exploding Gorons and, like, shrimp that will kill you.
They're not exploding. They're just impaled from the inside out. It's fine.
I know, it just looks like it.
Oh, poor Gorons. I even feel a little bad I came up with that.
All right, well,
So I guess we're just going on to the boss now, right? We talked about the room that leads to the boss key and everything.
The blade trap ramp.
Yeah, I guess so. The blade trap ramp is awful. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fell down it once.
So bad. Anytime there's blade traps in any room in Zelda, it's just...
Yeah, it's that shishing, man.
Just like the fire temple one.
Did you want to?
It's no good.
Like, did you want to reduce your movement speed to about 8% and move past some shishings? Because that's what we're gonna do. It's great.
Yeah, no, you just run up like a wet marble ramp, I guess, and hope that you don't get hit. There, from what I understand, there is no trick to it other than like when you first get to it, just go for it because that's probably your best shot. I think they're actually a little out of sync. Somehow, I don't know why, but I feel like the pattern kind of changes as it goes.
I feel like there's got to be a timing trick to it.
And it's best at the beginning.
I picked a side. I went to a side. I waited for the one to go, and then I just went, and I made it.
Right. That's what I do. I almost always go to the left. Once the bottom one clears the left, I just start. And then I usually make it to the top. But if I wait, or if I have to do multiple tries, it doesn't work as easy. I'll get hit and have to fall back down and start over. So like once you are like getting to it, just go for it.
My strategy was just get good.
Bro.
Because I definitely didn't make it the first time.
I got hit once, and then the second time I was about to run into one, so I stopped, and then he slid back down, and then the third time is when I made it, technically.
Yeah, the worst is when like you're about to go up and you know that you're about to get hit, so you stop and then you slide back down and you get hit by one of the other ones that you already passed.
You're not getting out of this one, buddy.
Yeah. But I think, like that's one of those situations where we could be like, what does this mean in terms of self-reflection and wisdom? And it's like, well, sometimes you just got to keep moving forward. Even if it's painful, I guess. I don't know. Like there's
even if you slide back down, even if you end up in a place that was right where you started after you got halfway to your goal, don't give up. Keep going.
Right?
Keep going.
Keep climbing.
Perseverance.
Just work on your time and something. You got this. That's what this ramp means.
2 steps forward and like 800 steps back. Yeah, no, it's brutal. It's perseverance, man.
That's right.
Or I guess you could just hit it on the first try, and then that meaning is lost.
Yeah, or that. But before we get into the boss, can we take a break?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool.
I thought we were done talking about the ramp. Were we done talking about the ramp?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done talking about the ramp.
I mean, I kind of wanted to add a couple, 10 more minutes to the ramp.
Since we're only at 50 minutes, we need the time.
So Tony Hawk actually started his career on this ramp. Right here.
He grinded the blade trap, which was unheard of.
Unheard of. It was legendary.
They called it the Rainbow Blade Trap grind.
He had a blue tunic.
So now I'm going to have to somehow add this back into the episode.
Right. Blade Trap 520.
Technically we're on a break right now. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to go do that right now, Burbs.
But let's try to get that episode title in. What have we got so far? Exploding Gorons, episode 8. What do you see when you reflect or self-reflect? Be super inspirational. Episode 8. What is your reflection?
You call this episode Dark Lunker.
Dark Lunker. Yes.
I'm trying to go motivational over here. And Dark Lunker, this you out there.
But if there's a Dark Lunker, that means there's got to be a Light Lunker somewhere, right?
Light Lunker fights Dark Lunker. Get your tickets here.
Lunker v. Lunker.
It's the Lunker Bowl.
Yeah, who's gonna take us back into the boss?
All right, so we've gotten to the top of the blade trap thing. You know, we've surpassed Tony Hawk at this point, and we open the boss key doors, and we get into a room, and it's a pretty cool room. It's pretty big. Got some water in it, you know, like we've been seeing, and then we get to see the boss fight here, and the name of the boss.
When we jump into one of the middle platforms, we get to see the boss.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's details, small details.
You gotta activate this one.
This is actually the biggest boss that we've fought yet, kind of.
Technically.
I mean, yeah, if you want to get into it. I mean, Navi straight up says it's not normal water.
Yeah, because that's not water. That's its body.
Is it, though?
It's huge.
It's the giant aquatic amoeba Morpha, the eyeball slime waterbender.
Bum-ba-da-bum-bum.
Yeah, it's like a little bouncy ball brain looking thing that just like...
That's the nucleus.
That's the nucleus. That's the centipede.
It's Jabu Jabu's eyeball. Oh.
It's got the chromosomes that determine the shape of the water in any
It's
given
just
time.
one big mutated eyeball frog. It's both its eyeballs became one ball, and then it turned into a pool of water. Ganondorf's a genius. Nobody's noodling
Can you
this.
imagine if you gave that to? Can you imagine if you gave that to Professor over there at the laboratory?
He's like, it doesn't have legs though.
Oh, you got me a whole eyeball. Oh my goodness. That could cure the Goron brothers' eye problems for like 10 weeks straight.
Yeah, it's like that's what the liquid is made out of that the boss controls. It is eye drops. It is the specialist of eye drops.
That's not normal water over there. It's like some kind of saline solution. Contact lenses.
Saline solution. You can dip your contacts in there and they'll be so clean.
So clean.
I mean, I have a strategy that I know Cameron knows for this boss, but I don't know. Do you guys have
Speed
anything
runs
that you did to like fight him?
So what I do is I go to the corner of the room.
All right. So
and then when the tentacle with the ball comes out, you hook shot him, and then you hit him a bunch, and then he runs away. And then you just keep waiting for him to do it again, because he'll do it again. He'll just keep trying to reach for you in the corner, but he can't really reach you in the corner. And he'll also like line himself up so that the hook shot kind of goes straight through the whole tentacle and like nabs him that way.
You gotta really...
And as long as you don't leave the corner, you can like avoid hitting spikes too. So it's pretty good.
You got a really good strat going on, Fonz, but there is one more point you could take it to.
The super point.
And that is if you hook shot him all the way into the corner and then like because it takes him like 1 or 2 seconds to move, and then you angle yourself so that you're hitting him into the corner, he can never actually get away and get back to the water, and you can kill him the first time you pull him out if you get him in the corner and keep smacking him into the corner.
Nice.
Is like the way his cycle works is you time your sword swings just enough that he can't escape, and you kill him in one attack cycle. It's the easiest, fastest.
It's
boss
easy
fight.
and it's quick, yeah.
Or
Nice.
I didn't actually remember that until I'd already pulled him out once, and then the second time I did that and finished him after that, and he dies so fast with the big Goron sword. It's great. It's so great.
He does. Enemies are all halved.
It's like 3 or 4 hits for a
You're
boss.
like, this is even cooler, Cameron. I take it one more level to you now.
Cameron,
so you do
I'm
that.
Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carmen Sandiego. You take it one more level, there, Carmen. So once you long shot him a couple times, get that angle into the corner, and then you big Goron sword him about 3-4 times, you actually finish him off with Din's fire. Do you really want roasted eyeballs?
Entirely honest.
Of course.
You can dissolve the tentacles with Din's fire though. Like any of the ones that he's not in, and maybe even his, you can just like destroy with Din's fire.
Red fire destroys blue water.
As the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk knew, eyeballs make the best jam for your bread, which should be made from bones if we're listening to the same people. So roasted jam is even better.
Mm-hmm. Din's fire. I'm telling you, Din's fire.
What does that have to do with bones?
We're talking about roasting eyeballs, because Din's fire is great.
Oh no.
Din's fire.
I'm pretty sure there's no eyeball
move.
on this thing.
Well, no, but going back to my joke of this thing being a mutated eyeball frog.
A big eyeball frog.
And the nucleus is just both of its eyeballs went together and became even more powerful than they already were.
Oh my god.
Also dysfunctional because it's all pink and there's no pupil.
Yeah, because now there's no eye anymore. It's ascended.
It's ascended water scion.
It's an inner eye.
Yes.
Which is why it looks like a brain.
We've discovered the truth about this temple.
By relating it to the eyeball frog, we've discovered the
Link's
truth.
trying to summon his third eye.
All the layers have been peeled back.
So after we beat the boss, as per usual, we get a heart container to give a new heart to our character. One that Dark Link won't be able to use against us from this point forward. And we move into the blue crystal light. Oh, and when the boss dies, it's kind of interesting. The water seeps up all the way to the ceiling, and one final drop of saline solution hits the ground, and that's the end of the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
No more fresh contact.
It's the curse, right? So we've now cleared the curse by destroying the evil creature.
We'll have dry eyes forever.
He didn't want to be evil, man. He was just a frog. He just wanted to croak.
Right. But I mean, so the name Morpha has implications. I mean, it does shift shape, but like it's kind of what, you're doing too with your whole self-reflecting thing that you're on. You're kind of growing and shifting as a person, right? Like I always think of like Bruce Lee, like in his whole like become like water like speech. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Kind of like that. That's the vibe I get when I try to think about what's the significance of this boss.
Be flexible.
But-
be easy to change, but also at times be hard as a rock like ice. Stand up for your morals.
I don't know if any of that's in the speech.
It's fine. It's probably not.
That definitely like goes in line with what you're saying though, because amoebas have the ability to alter their shape into whatever they want, whatever they see fit.
Nice.
They're also brain-eating organisms, so maybe that like eyeball there was once a brain.
It reminds me of the test that somebody did at one point to see if cats could be classified as a liquid because they can fit through small spaces, but it turns out they have bones, so they're not.
They're just mostly liquid, like us.
Yeah, they're like, cats can fit through spaces that science says they shouldn't be able to because humans couldn't fit through something like equivalently as small to them. So they did a test.
Cats actually shrink their bones. I'm just kidding.
I mean, they do get to move their bones a bit.
You ever see the video clip about how like we're basically lava monsters? Because
We're Gorons.
Because ice is a solid element, so it's considered a rock technically, and water is the liquid form of that rock, so liquid rock is lava, and because we're 70% water, or whatever the statistic is, technically
like
we're
that.
lava monsters.
I'd rather just be called
I
a
like
flesh
it.
bag at this point. I'm going to go with the Casper.
Okay. Do you? That's precious.
If Morpha, right? If the eyeball thing in the middle of Morpha is a nucleus, right? If it's the nucleus of Morpha, then the question I want to ask you and our viewers is, where is the mitochondria? Where is the powerhouse of Morpha?
I think with the way Morpha reaches out, like Morpha's just been looking for that powerhouse, man.
It'll actually assimilate Link into itself, and he'll become a mitochondria.
All it can do is reach out in a single tentacle because all it wants to do is find its powerhouse.
The one thing it's missing from its life is that good old powerhouse.
Now that's precious.
It's messed up.
Morpha's just misunderstood. He doesn't want to work for Ganon.
It just wants to croak, man. I've been saying it from the beginning.
It wants to turn from a single-celled organism into 2. Maybe eventually 3.
Nobody teach it about mitosis or meiosis.
It wants a family. If it
It
could
wants
be a
to be able to
complex
do
organism.
osmosis. That's where they split, right? No,
that's mitosis
That's
and
mitosis.
meiosis.
Yeah, that's mitosis.
Osmosis has to do with water, like water going through stuff or something like that.
Does that too.
Which, it has nothing to do with our episode, though. So we'll continue.
Well, if this temple represents wisdom and Link is getting wiser in it, then it's kind of like water osmosising its way on in, like the wisdom into Link.
Almost like active transport.
Almost like a real reach, like that long shot, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Both of you have been reaching real deep in this one.
So
I like
we're going
it.
places.
I like it.
We had nowhere to go in the temple, so we might as well go places outside the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really all there's left to
deal.
cover is the conversation with Rudo, right?
Yeah.
Which you want to know how to really succeed in that conversation with Rudo? The key strategy to talking with her?
Spam through A and
Don't.
not read it.
No, not that. Din's fire.
I didn't do that, but that's where I thought he was going with that. And did you say
right?
Din's fire?
Yeah.
Did you just say Din's fire?
It's the
You're
theme.
gonna cook your wife, bro.
It's the theme.
You
You're
can't.
gonna cook your wife.
You can't Din's fire
Rudo.
in the Temple of
Din's
Sages.
fire
You'll
your
hit
problems
everybody.
away.
Oh,
Why do we need the Master Sword when we have Din's fire?
They always put you in the center of that Temple of Sages, man. The Chamber of Sages. You'd roast the whole place. Just think of Raru over here lose his mustache. You can't do that to that poor man.
Cooked
all
owl,
he has
no.
Sorry, his hair would turn orange.
Sari is probably a plant. She'll probably just die.
She's probably more like a plant spirit, so even worse.
Right. The Koroks used to take the form of humans, which is the Kokiri.
People plants.
Let's not Din's fire her. How about that?
All right. I'll refrain my Din's fire for this conversation.
And it's not even that bad. She's just like she wants to pledge her love to you, but she's like, at least that's what I would want to say, but it looks like I'm a sage, so it ain't gonna happen.
Real sad stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of calls back to the fact that, like, once you're called as a sage, like, suddenly you have this whole different purpose in life, and most of the sages seem pretty cool with that. There's never one that we come across that's like, man, I'm not really sure I want to be a sage. Like, they're all kind of like, oh yeah, sage life.
Can you imagine if, like, they added that as an implementation in the story? It would have made the story, I think, a lot heavier if, like, one sage was like, you would have convinced them.
I mean, at that point, you have two choices. You either, like, accept this revelation in your life, or you, like...
doom the world.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like, hate it, I guess? That's not the word I'm looking for, but you just, like, despise the fact and regret that you became that. So that's not a good way to go. They're definitely taking the better path there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, like, how are sages chosen? Like, do they know that the people that they choose, like, would be totally cool being a sage? Or is it, like...
It's probably, like, fate.
It's like, there's a lot of destiny in the game.
Like Ushio's mom and Ushio and Tora. All the random anime references in this one, right?
You just said a bunch of words I didn't understand.
Ushio and Tora.
Yeah, I'm guessing they were names.
Yeah. Good show.
But yeah, so, like, I don't know. Can't imagine there being, like, like, hey, you're being called as a sage. It's like, I thought about it, and that's not really what I see for my life. And they just walk away, and it's like the person next to them, hey, so you're getting called as a sage now. Like,
yeah, I don't even want to think about that, because I think the next Zora would have been the king, and I don't want to sit through a conversation of mweeps in the sage chambers, so I'm good with Rudo being high with that. I'm glad she was chill. Could you imagine getting there, and you're just like, man, I just beat this awesome guy, and all of a sudden this giant fat fish thing appears, like, mweep, Mori, and it's just like, chat appearing as he's saying that, like, no.
Hold on, I appeared on the wrong pedestal. I gotta move over.
Yes. Wait. Wait, this isn't my pedestal. Mori.
Oh man,
pain.
But that's not
Suffering.
the case. It's Rudo. It's fine. She loves you, but she knows she can't, so it's fine, I guess.
Which always happens to Link,
right?
you know?
It's, it's a bit sad for her, I guess. I mean, like, we never were really into it, so it's kind of like, listen, like...
Yeah, I just
this is
imagine
tough, but
Link has his head cocked to the side with a question mark above his head during all the talks of marriage or engagement or any of that. So he's just like, all right, bye, friend. I'll see you later. And she's like, ooh.
Link, like, exits the chamber room and, like, I don't know, like, I guess returns back to, like, Hyrule Field or something, and he's just like, yes! Fist pumping in the air. I'm free.
Not gonna happen.
it's like, what are you gonna tell it? Like, you go back, hey, like, it's been 7 years. What's up? And be like, hey, so I gave your stone to the Temple of Time, so I guess I'm engaged to Raru now. Like, don't know what you want from me. Sorry.
You cheated on me?
Oh, goodness. So anyway, we leave the Chamber of Sages and we actually run right back into Sheik outside, who I think is just kind of like, congrats, you did it. You and Rudo, like, cleared the curse. You know, I don't think she says anything about
Link.
Zora's domain actually being able to come back, because it don't. Yeah, and then you know, she basically is like, oh, Rudo said to say thank you, because that was the other thing that Rudo told us in the chamber was, hey, say thanks to Sheik if you get a chance. Like, if you thank him for saving me or something like that. And then, yeah, so you do. Link comes out, he's like, oh, Rudo wanted to say thanks, that's cool. You guys did it, you saved the day. And then, like, totally just kind of tricks you again by, like, I think she does the Deku Nut and then goes up into the tree and dives out into the water, and it's like, it's pretty comical.
Yeah. Link hears their splash and is like, what was that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then the lake fills up with water. Woo!
Yeah, which is like a whole thing.
And now we can get fire arrows. Hey!
You shoot the sun like Apollo himself.
While you're standing on that grave thing, which doesn't sound too good.
Apollo's grave. Wait, what?
He's like, yeah, bro, stand on my grave and shoot the sun. It'll be great.
You want to know what's better than shooting the sun with fire arrows?
Shooting the moon with ice arrows?
He's going to say Din's fire, bro.
You're going to say Din's fire.
Burning everything around you with Din's fire.
If only this was co-op and you could Din's fire and shoot an arrow through the Din's fire and make a fire arrow.
Ooh. Now you're onto something.
You know how combo slaptastic that would be?
Do you imagine, like, killing a boss with that co-op tactic? That'd be so cool.
One person shoots a fire arrow, but you also shoot a regular arrow at the same time, and they cross in midair, and they're both fire arrows.
What if you shoot a fire and ice arrow and they combine into, like,
2 regular arrows?
An omni arrow.
They form the red ice. That's how red ice is formed.
No.
That's how red ice is.
Whatever you hit just gets sealed up in red ice.
Yeah.
Man, these kids out here playing with them fire and ice arrows again. What this cabin doing here? Man, I'm gonna have to solve this.
Yeah, seriously, like, I don't know what the thing was with last episode versus this episode. Where it's like red ice freezes people. It's hot and it's cold at the same time, and you need this cold blue fire to melt the hot ice. And then you go to the water temple, and it's like, there's some cold water in here, like water's supposed to be, and there's some hot fire that can spew from Link, and you actually use the hot fire to burn the cold water away, and you win. It's like, what? It's totally reverse. I didn't understand why they went with that, but whatever.
Din's fire underwater sounds messed up. Like, I have to test it now, because I almost don't believe it's real.
It sounds awfully fishy.
Oh gosh! All right.
Ooh, that pun.
So with that, I think we're done. I think we can call it an episode.
If we started on a bad pun, we gotta end with a bad pun.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're listening, thank you for listening. First off, but also if you want to reach out to us, want to give your own feedback, own thoughts on the temple. Listen, we got silly this episode, and that's okay. If you got any good jokes or comments, whatever, we'll take it.
Silly's good.
We want all the puns.
Yeah. So send us a message at A4NB4Y@gmail.com or on social media, all the same links we've been using. But yeah, well, hopefully we can hear from you, and we'll see you next episode, where we will get into the under the well and the Shadow Temple, I believe. So yeah, gonna be a big episode, gonna be a good amount to talk about. So yeah, hope you guys catch us then.
Peace.
Did you get all that?